I think so.
Hope you got enough for the class.
What?
They're very good.
Yep. All right, well, good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order in an open session. Welcome to this evening's hybrid Board of Trustees meeting being held both in person and virtually. This meeting has been made accessible to members of the public on the link at the Moreland School District website and on board docs. Any person who requires accommodations to access the meeting has been asked to contact the superintendent's office within 24 hours of this meeting. This meeting is being recorded and may be published online at a later date. And we will go to tonight's flag salute. I believe we have some third grade students from Baker here tonight to lead us in tonight's flag salute. Why don't you join us at the podium here?
Please stand. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States. And to
for citizens, one nation,
with liberty and
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming tonight and doing such a fabulous job leading us in tonight's flag salute. Why don't you each take a turn and introduce yourselves and tell us what you like about being a Bobcat.
My name is. My favorite thing. My name is Lily, and my favorite part about the is. My name is Nico. My favorite thing being a Bobcat is doing all fun projects and learning.
Fabulous.
awesome.
Yeah.
Super quick question. Did everybody participate in the catwalk? How many laps did you guys do? Do you remember?
What?
That
Goodness.
is awesome. That's
Very good. Oh my gosh.
21, very good. That's
Nice.
awesome. Yeah,
Good for you.
good for you. Thank you. I know that's such an important part of the Baker school year. My kids went to Baker from K through 5, so that was a long time ago.
I thought you were gonna give the year. I was-
I believe the 5th.
Yeah.
So thank you for participating in that catwalk, and thank you again for coming to the board meeting this evening. Thank you so much.
Yeah, hi guys, I am Shelly. Again, thank you for leading us in the flag salute. I also have a question for you guys. So since Friday is Valentine's Day, I wanted to ask you guys, is there anyone at school that you're really thankful for, you would like to really appreciate? Anyone?
Like the BFF.
Your BFF?
DJ.
Uh-huh. Why? Did he do something special for you, or she's just a good friend? He's just a good friend. Your teacher.
I'm thankful for Stuart Book.
Nice.
Very nice.
Well, that was a very risky question.
Yeah,
Very brave.
I feel over, but you can do it. You can.
Well, I'm the easy one of the crowd. I don't have any questions for you. But I like to tell all the students that come about why we appreciate you coming. Because you're like, I could be home right now having dinner with my family. Why am I at a school board meeting? And the reality is that you're the most important people in the room. So we come to do this work so that we make our best decisions on behalf of you guys. So we start our meeting with you. So thank you.
And I'll also thank you guys for coming in. I know it's not easy to come in and lead a salute. It's great for you guys. You guys are all third graders. And so it's really important to kind of see how things work. This is what we do behind the scenes. It's great to have you guys come in and speak in front of a crowd. This is fun, right? All right, well, thank you so much for coming in.
Dr. Cog, was anyone nervous for today's flag salute? A little bit? Yeah, I get nervous when I talk in front of big groups of people too, surprisingly. But we are really thankful that you came tonight to volunteer your time. It's important to us to not only see who you are and what Baker's kind of doing, but you know, just starting and opening our meetings with the flag salute is very important. But what I love that I heard tonight was just the friends, the learning, the teachers. I did hear Art Vista twice, so kudos to the VA for like this stuff. But just thank you, and we'll hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Great job.
Did a great job. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. You're welcome to head home. Thank you.
Great job.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
parents.
you, guys.
Thank you for bringing them.
Bye.
All right, I will report out that there was no action taken this evening in closed session and move to approval of tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Comments from the public.
Members of the public may address the board on any subject of concern to you, including those not on tonight's agenda. However, provisions of the Brown Act preclude any action. As an unagendized item, no response is required or permitted from the board or district staff, and as already stated, no action can be taken. The board, however, may instruct the superintendent to follow up, which may or may not include placing the item on a future meeting's agenda. If you would like to address the board this evening, please complete the blue public comment card within the first 15 minutes of the board meeting being called to order in public session. On the card, please list the agenda items that you would like to speak to. If your comments do not pertain to an agendized item, please write public comment. When your name is called, please come to the podium and state your name and organization that you're representing. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per board governance manual. And I believe we have one blue card today from Shailene McCaskill representing MTA. Hello.
Shailene McCaskill, the Treasurer for MTA. Secretary. Happy Valentine's Day, almost. Got all my heart stuff all week long.
I love it.
Thank you. To Julie Reed, Country Lane, thank you for setting up so many wonderful field trips and experiences for second grade. It's a lot of work. We appreciate you. From Carly Slaughter and Lauren Mortensen. I'm only reading some. Tomorrow you'll get a very cute Valentine slideshow with the rest of them, but I'm reading about half of them because there's a lot. It's great. To Shanoa Ross at Latimer, she is the kindest and sweetest coworker. She has been a tremendous help to me, and I love the way the students are thriving in school because of her passion to teach. To Michelle Podesta at Payne. Michelle is an amazing teaching partner and always goes above and beyond for our students. From Cassie Gray. The one for Shanoa Ross was from Kathy King. To Maria Vega. Maria Vega is such a pillar in my classroom support. She goes above and beyond times infinity with her endless support to all the SPED teachers. She is one of a kind. Also from Kathy. To Katie Morse at EDS, you're doing a fantastic job with the LLS fundraiser. You're amazing. From Marissa Gustin. To Sarah Zazueta sorry, from Baker. You are so fun and creative. I appreciate how you are always willing to try something new. From Megan Bright. To Olivia Guerrero from Latimer. Your dedication and hard work brought the mobile dental services to our schools, so our neediest students can receive necessary dental work. Thank you for your work in taking care of our neediest families in our community. It's from Marissa Trevino. To Jody Rubino and Anderson, Jody is always very positive and easy to talk to. She's a strong leader and we are very fortunate to have her as our principal. That's from Trish Karen. Also the Anderson third grade team, Martha, Katie, and Jill. Our third grade team is always willing to collaborate and they all do such a great job making learning a fun experience. Also from Trish. To Caitlin Byers, Edgar Garcia, and Denise Brewer at Payne, thank you so much for all that you do to keep Payne running. You're amazing and so appreciated. It's from Alex Munoz. To Ralph Obey, thank you, Ralph, for helping us to get set up for the annual EMS and MMS Jazz Concert and Workshop from Nils Johnson. To Cindy Nguyen from MMS, shout out to Cindy for meeting with the parent to go through rating scales for testing. Thank you for being thorough and thoughtful about what you do. To the Latimer staff, thank you for always challenging my thinking, making me laugh, and pushing me to be the best teacher I can be for our Lions. It's from Jeffrey Spafford. To Shelley at MMS, thank you for always going above and beyond for everyone and helping keep the office running smoothly on a daily basis. You are so amazing. From Maya Tapia. And last one, Veronica Trejo at MMS. Thank you for being so caring and compassionate with all of our families at MMS. Thanks to you, I have been able to get to know our community on a deeper level. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, superintendent's report, Dr. Clark.
Okay, so we've decided to try something a little bit new with superintendent's report. So usually I go over a very long list of items, and while I'm sure you're all on the edge of your seat, listening intently, we thought we'd, along with the report, have some visuals so that you can start to see a little bit more about what's happening in our schools. Like, yes, we've got the flag salute, but there's so many wonderful things happening, just micro moments, and you only see a snippet of those even on social media. So we're gonna try this new thing. All right, Ulysses, you got me? Since we last saw you, many people in our community celebrated Lunar New Year and rang in the year of the snake. So this is a photo of one of our Country Lane teachers and students. Next slide. This month also marks Black History Month to promote the history, culture, and achievements of African Americans. Take a look at this really beautiful display. This is in the Anderson Library. The librarian put this together. And then last week, was National School Counseling Week. So this is a picture of all of our counselors in Moreland. They play a really important role in supporting our students and our staff with the academic, social, emotional well-being, but also they're just really good people. And we like having really good people in our schools. So, you know, I think most people know we've got full-time counselors, at least one full-time counselor in every school now, which is a huge achievement for us. And it is definitely, I think, a hallmark of Moreland about just how much time, energy, and money we're putting into supporting our students and our educators. Oh, all right. So this slide, we had President's Council and MEF meetings last night. So this is just we don't have a picture of President's Council, but all of the homeschool club presidents represent each of these schools. Still really, really busy. And right now they're sort of recruiting leadership for next year. They're planning their budgets for next year. And then kind of finalizing the spring events, and before you know it, school will be over. So they're really already planning for next school year. And then with MEF, we did approve 12 grant requests that will be going out. People will be finding out this week whose requests were granted and for what amount. So that's still not public information yet. I think you know that we have the MEF 5K is coming up on March 29th. Registration will be coming soon. Participants will pay a registration fee because it is also a fundraiser, as it is also a community event. And then MEF is recruiting for a co-president starting this school year. So we are on the hunt. So if you know somebody who might be interested in taking that on, things are in really good shape. We've got a full kind of MEF board. Things are very well organized. People have really been stepping up into spaces, and so hopefully we can find somebody to take that on. Next slide. All right, Latimer Sock Drive. So Moreland students are definitely making a difference in our community. And I remember when we talked about goal 2 in the past, we wanted to try to move beyond some of just the environmental kind of climate stuff. And so we've been really trying to capture moments in schools where students and educators are living out the values of our goal 2 and our strategic plan. So this is the 4th grader at Latimer launched a sock drive to help the fire victims in the Los Angeles area. And so they've already collected more than 900 pairs of socks and hoping to collect 2,000 pairs by Friday. And then the middle school students at Easterbrook Discovery, they also are doing a fundraiser to support those affected by the fires. They're doing a marketplace fundraiser. It was supposed to happen this Thursday, but because it's supposed to be sideways rain, we're putting it off a little bit. So we're really proud of the work that our kiddos are doing to just make a difference in the world and in their community. Next slide. You heard Shaylin talk about at Latimer, our counselor over there, Olivia Guerrero. She helped organize the dental clinic as part of the community schools grant. And so students, some of them for the first time, they got their dental checkups right there on site. We kind of turned one of the rooms into a dental clinic, a little temporary dental office. And so we're really excited about that. Next slide. Okay. We're about to play our transitional kindergarten, kind of kindergarten promotional video. We're trying to get more students to come to Moreland. So this is the video that we've been kind of sending out far and wide on our websites and social media. All of the principals have been kind of putting it out in their newsletters just to try to get the word out about Moreland. So we thought we'd show you the video. Okay.
I recognize that voice.
Yeah, it's a really great video. So we might not have a video every time, but we're gonna try to spice it up a little bit with some photos of what's happening out in our schools, just to kind of bring a little bit of life to, we have got a full audience, so, and then lastly, just a reminder, there's no school next week. It's President's Day week and ski week or midwinter break, whatever you prefer to call it.
Okay, that's it. Great. Board member communications.
I'll go quickly. Heather and I were at front of the District Facilities Committee as members of representing the board. It was a very, very productive meeting where the team came up and we talked about the priorities in terms of like where we want the investments from a real estate perspective, taking into account what each of the school sites specifically said that they wanted, versus what the overall priorities were for the district, etc. A lot of really good discussion in terms of where we should be focusing the money that we raised through the bond. There's going to be a follow-up meeting on the 20th so that we can on March 20th to continue that conversation, and assume after that it'll come to this group for a review and for us to have another discussion. So excited by all of the work. So clearly a ton of good work has gone into that. Thank you so much for that.
No communication from me.
No, it did for me.
I'll mention that I was able to go to the President's Council meeting. Always good to meet some new, see some new faces there, and I have to give a lot of credit to those who volunteer their time to kind of lead this group of parents who are volunteering their time and efforts to try to build this community. And it's always good to hear how each of the different schools, the challenges that they have, and then the budgeting that they put forth, and what they're trying to achieve. You know, it's always a challenge to try to get other parents to come in to their meetings, and I think it was kind of cool to hear. You know, we share, you know, each of the presidents share their, you know, strategies in terms of like trying to, you know, breakfast with the principal or have the meeting immediately after or immediately at the beginning of the school, see if they can draw in a number of parents. One thing I remember, I think Aaron from Latimer was mentioning what was actually quite smart and commented was that I think they had a couple of students picked up by the principal to present at the beginning of the home and school club meeting, so that the parents, of course, you're going to want to watch kids present something. And so I thought that was actually quite strategic to get to draw more parents in. And so, you know, that got shared around and other strategies and such. And so I have to applaud the efforts to try to bring and build that culture for the home and school clubs from each of the schools. And then if you guys are available on, I think it was March 5th, someone was picked as the the judge for the, is it the Future Chef
Oh, yeah.
contest? And you know, you just put food out there, I'll be there. I'll be one of the judges for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yes. I attended MEF and the district meeting, and it's been covered. So we'll go to MCSEA.
So we're going to always leave them a space. And there isn't anybody representing them here tonight, but we're going to keep them on the agenda every other time
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
it's their home.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go to the 25-26 governor's budget proposal.
All right. So in January, the governor released his proposal for 25-26. As you know, this is like the first snapshot of what it's going to look like. There's a lot that goes into it between now and the May revise, and then the actual adoption in June. But some of the themes that we're looking at is there's a lot of stability and resilience to protect California residents and the state's economy, so that's good. Stable Prop 98 funding, which is always great for education. So we're looking at that, and it maintains some key educational investments. So universal meals, ELOP, Prop 28, and then actually fully funding the TK 10-1 moving into next year. The top three taxes, sales, use tax, corporation tax, and personal income tax. So this is just a quick snapshot. Usually the governor's budget is a little bit higher than, a little more generous than the LAF. So we're hoping it sticks. Next one. So some bright spots. So within the state spending limit, Prop 98 funding covers over half the available revenue. So it's always a great thing. We're eliminating some of those one-time funds we've had. So we're looking at actually providing ongoing costs. So we're looking forward to that. There is some significant one-time discretionary resources that we're looking forward to. It's going to help with just overall costs. And they're going to, at this time, fully fund the cost of it, which they haven't always done. So we're looking forward to that. There are always some risk. However, this one, there's less risk than we had in the past. So that's always good. We're eliminating the reliance on those one-time fundings. They're slowly replenishing the Prop 98 reserves for times of uncertainty. Looking forward, you never know what's going to happen. Fully funding the COLA. At the local level, we do always have those risks of accounting and budgeting for enrollment changes. We know we're in a declining state right now. And then just the rising costs just to continue to function as a school district. This is just kind of a quick snapshot of kind of how LCFF is funded. Some of the different costs. So per ADA, your grade spans, that includes the 2.43 COLA, that's what we're projecting right now. some other grade span adjustments and so forth. And then the bottom one is that TK add-on. So that's an increase of a little over like $3,000. So we're hoping that stays that way. So it really fully funds it and allows us to, offer be competitive with TK. This is just kind of showing what the reality is. So even though they're fully funding the LTFF for ADA, it's not dollar to dollar. So we need to just make sure we look at it and, even though it's, like a 13.26% back in 22-23, really realized about 12.5 and so forth. And so looking at 24-25, we get to realize kind of what that percentage really is, and then moving forward the same. So when we see that COLA, it's not, we're not realizing that full percentage that's on that we're receiving.
So Chris, what does that percentage represent, 2022, the 13.26? Is that an increase from the previous year, or what is that 13.26?
That was our COLA back in 22.
Oh, that was the COLA, the rate.
I think that was the actual COLA.
Actual COLA itself.
But when you look down at it, we don't actually see the full 30.
Sure. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, that was when they gave a lot back.
Okay.
It was a couple of years and then
Then back to, yeah, thank you.
So this is just looking at some one-time funds. A lot of the one-time funds are falling off the books. We've been very conservative at Moreland with our one-time. We didn't tack them on to ongoing costs because we knew one time it's in the name, right? It's not gonna continue. So we spent those monies strategically. We are gonna get, there's some in the budget discretionary block grants, maybe some one-time funds. And we might be realizing some of the learning recovery emergency block grant. They took some money back or just lowered the funding, and we might be getting some of that back as well. So that would be good to see to help us fund some of the programs. And then this is from school services, just kind of some advice when we're looking at budgeting. So we're going to include in the second income that you'll see in March the 2.43% COLA. All the other things are just on paper right now. We know a lot goes into creating that final budget in June and then the May revise. And so, we're not going to budget anything until we actually know we're going to get it. But we're going to start planning ahead, looking at the programs we have. If there's any reports that we need to kind of start planning or any plans we need to create in order to spend the money that we are anticipating on getting, we'll start that process. But we're not going to actually include it in our budget until we know we're going to. And these are just some of our planning. This is the dartboard. And so this is kind of our planning, and you look at the future years. This is what we use to budget. So our out years, we look at those COLAs. We know they don't always stay the way they are. It can go up or down, but these are the rates. Some of the good things is like CalPERS is staying steady. CalPERS relatively steady, slight incline. And then you can see okay. And then this is just kind of the timeline moving forward from January when he released his proposal, and then moving forward till May. Some of the unknowns that we don't know is because like the fires in LA, they pushed back tax filing, and so that's going to have an impact, I think. So we'll see what that impact really is, come May, but overall, it's a pretty positive proposal. Question?
No, an observation. I mean, the state of California is more and more funded by one-time monies too. And so the struggle is to pay, an increasing COLA with one-time monies. And it feels very similar to the problem that we have. Our greatest expense are people. We care deeply about seeing those people cared for. And yet we're funded in a way that says, I can't tell you much more in a year. And that's not a great system for caring for people. So thank you for the juggling act that you have to continue to do. It's good to see some of those numbers stabilize. Like I think of the CalSTRS as an example, and you go like CalPERS, you're like, I remember when that started, it was like, oh my God, how are we ever going to keep up with this thing? And now we're kind of here. So hopefully the state continues to come through. There is a lot of money. And I think between wildfires and the concerns about the government, the federal government, eventually some of that money will trickle out and be spent. So we hope. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Reports and action items, mid-year LCAP report.
I'm excited.
Yeah. New energy up. Here we go.
The mid-year update for LCAP. And I am lucky to have Tracy Dwyer, Educational Services Coordinator, here to help present, as well as the gentleman who just presented. The CEO will be presenting along with us. So a little background, the LCAP mid-year report is a new thing. This is the first year it's actually required and you have to pass it. And I think, well, Destiny did it last year, but this is when it's officially required. And so I want to back up just a little bit to COVID. That's where we started talking about having this mid-year where we would touch base kind of with our data so that people didn't get lost. And that the state said, oh, that's a good idea. Now let's have this
Mandatory.
as mandatory thing. And it actually, I feel, in my position, I think all of us feel is a worthwhile thing to check in on our data, to see how we're doing. What is our progress? Are we heading in the right direction? Is there anything that we need to fix? Or, any red flags out there? So I think it is beneficial, and I think it's beneficial for you to also be a part of this process. As we go through the presentation, feel free to jump in and ask questions as we go. And all of us will do our best to answer them. Next slide. The presentation is organized numerically by our goals. And you also might recognize our goals are connected to our strategic plan. And I think that that's what makes, I appreciate Dr. Codd's leadership, because she likes to have that fluidity through our SIPSAs. Our strategic plan is a thread throughout all of our work and our plans. And so it's cohesive right down to our evaluations. So I appreciate that, having those threads that keep us knit together in terms of our focus and our vision. So first we will go over each metric, our goal and our metrics, and then our actions. And then finally, Chris will go over the expenditures for each. So let's start with goal number 1. And this is the goal that just focused really narrowly on academics. You can see our mid-year progress is in the middle. Our baseline is the end of the year results from last year. And then of course, those are on the right side are our goals that we're setting. So in Fountas and Pinnell, you can see that we are actually making good progress in that we're almost up to where we were at the baseline at the end of the year. So we're moving forward, and iReady is even more exciting because these are the median students' progress towards typical growth. It's a way that iReady measures, they set out this metric. And if you look, we have actually already surpassed our baseline from last year. So this is significant progress, and for our subgroups, which is really exciting to see. For example, our Hispanic end of the year was 82% in ELA, and our median student is hitting at 93, and we're only halfway through the year. So that's exciting news and exciting progress.
Are you still feeling confident in iReady as a useful data delivery diagnostic, however you want to describe that?
Yes, I absolutely do. And we keep finding new ways to use iReady. And I think that we will continue to, and as we start to adopt the dyslexia, the reading difficulty screener, I think we will also, I talked to some other districts and they are using iReady in even more ways, similar to the reading difficulty screener at the lower levels, but they're using it at the higher levels to detect some reading difficulties for students. So I anticipate us being able to tap into more ways to use iReady, but it is really helping us. Teresa was just showing up with us some of her data points that she is using in her data collab days. And the iReady scores are very helpful in showing the targeted students and where we really need to focus our efforts and on what. And so she was focusing on vocabulary, and that's what iReady does, is it gives you really specific data about the students.
Question about,
Separate that from the iReady personalized learning, right? The adaptive learning, the benchmarks, the assessments, those are really, I mean, it's all one package, but those are really two different things for us to look at and determine what's successful. But the data that we're getting out of iReady is pretty incredible, and it's not overwhelming for teachers. Like, they're really using it, they're planning groups. Teresa's able to have a very powerful conversation with her teams to like pinpoint a group of students and exactly what the teachers need to focus on with them, which is, and so it's helping us get more precise with instructional groupings and what to do with kids.
when I look at the F&P data, how should I read, just to take one line, the EL English learners, 24% baseline, 23% mid-year. Is that like a trajectory, or is that like at a point in time, and therefore we're actually not as, because I see them, if it is a point in time, then, F&P says we're not there yet, whereas iReady says, oh, we're doing great. So how do I
can clarify.
Yeah.
So English language learners at the end of last school year, the last benchmark, 24% of our English language learners were at standard.
Okay,
At this point in the year,
okay,
already 23% of our English
okay.
language learners
got
are
it, okay,
at
that
standard.
helps, that helps.
And we
me.
still have a few
Okay.
more months left of school.
So,
So we are ahead of last.
so it's not really, it is not a, I get it, yes.
Oh,
It's not a
okay.
temperature, but it's more of like a gauge.
It is.
It is,
And
yeah.
our goal is by the end of the year, we'd get to 42% of our
Yes,
EL
so
students.
it's, and we've already made progress.
Yeah.
Mid-year. to-
So we are definitely going to surpass where we were last year.
Okay, got it. That helps a lot. Thank you. Because what I was trying to understand is just completely from a ironically uneducated perspective, looking at it, like one row says really good, one says.
Right.
So I was like, I just wanted to make sure that both are pointing in the same direction, and they are. Thank you.
And the iReady is also about their growth towards standard. On a
Yes.
different page, it talks about actual at benchmark. So
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next slide. So this is a snapshot kind of from over 3 years from right now, from this diagnostic that we've been using with iReady. So the iReady people actually wrote to me and said, what are you doing that's working?
Hmm.
Because you're showing growth, which is really exciting. Now I know that, they are trying to sell a product and so forth. The data,
It's a surprise.
right, the data is actually there. And so this again is the percent of students meeting the typical growth goals. That iReady sets the typical growth goals, and they also set their stretch goals. And so at this point, we don't expect it to be 100%, but as you can see, we have progress. And that's really encouraging, because I think we were seeing some stalemates a couple years back where it didn't seem like we were moving the students forward. And so this is, right across the board, we're meeting the growth goals, and we're not done with the year. So we have a lot more time to keep growing this year. So this is an exciting thing, and I'm glad that iReady pointed that out to us as well and shared this specific indicator with us.
At a site level, is it consistent, or how inconsistent is it at a site level?
So that's a good question. We do have some varying degrees at site levels, but generally in iReady, we have seen progress. All right, the next. All right, so this is the next one, right? Okay, so this is, as Dr. Cog was saying, is the percent of students who met or exceeded standard. And again, we're seeing the baseline is the end of last year, mid-year again, is right now. And we're seeing that we've already surpassed where the baseline was. And we're on our way to reaching our goal, which is really exciting. And I think, again, just to note that our subgroups are also seeing progress. So that, I don't know, I'm a little bit too excited maybe, but I think that this is encouraging because I just feel like we haven't seen the dial turn. And we're starting to see it.
Yeah, if I had to put up like a little just elevator bumper sticker, it's like, we ended the last year at 56%. We're already at 57%. We're midway through the year. It's our second benchmark. So,
But-
you know, a few more months of school, we still expect to see, you know, much more growth. We are on track to surpass where we've been, you know, in the last few years. That's great. So we're excited about that. Yeah.
Who sets the desired outcome? Did we?
So those are goals that we set,
Last year.
right, in our LCAP, when we did the big LCAP, and Destiny was the one who set those goals. But they're based on data from iReady, so it isn't just a, you know, shooting in the dark.
Right.
They're actually calculated based on how much we believe that we should be improving, but also that there are suggestions as well. Okay. Any other questions on this slide? Next
So
slide.
the next slide. Continue on with this progress. The one thing that we want to highlight is the trajectory of the reclassification. So if you look at our data from 2023, our reclassification rate was 14%, which was a big jump from the prior year, which isn't on this. It's a pretty good jump. And we're already on target again. You're still seeing the same trend of, you know, our kids on target. Now you'll see that low percentage right there, 4%. We don't reclassify our students until the fall based on the previous year's spring scores. But we're anticipating that that percentage will continue to. And also our LTEL percentage, it's dropped a little bit, but it's dropped, which is wonderful because for long-term English learners, it's really hard to get them out of that classification. So we're looking forward to their continued growth.
And I ask this question often, so clearly my retention rate is 0. Apologize for that. What's reclassification? How do you define that?
So reclassification is when a student who's labeled EL is reclassified as fluent.
I see.
And
Okay.
that is in all 4 domains of English, so reading, listening, writing, speaking.
Okay.
And it's very difficult to get that score, and it was for the 4. So the students have to take this annual, the summative LCAP.
Okay.
And when they get a 4, hey, this kid's eligible for reclassification, and we get the teacher's input, we look at their state test scores, we look at their reading levels, we get their parents' input.
Okay.
And everyone's on track. Yep, this kid is ready to be reclassified.
Awesome.
We reclassify that student, and we, by law, we still have to monitor their progress for 4 years.
Okay.
But, you know, the goal is to really get them reclassified, especially before they get to high school.
Got it.
It opens up a number of opportunities for high school students. They don't have access to it. If they don't
For
get-
sure.
Be like this, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's huge push in middle school.
Got it. Do we ever see kids being reclassified the other way?
So you mean once they're reclassified as a,
As proficient?
yeah, we have not seen that. I mean,
Okay.
occasionally there'll be kids who you might not see, they anticipated academic growth. Maybe they're slipping a little bit in reading, so we'll put in their tier 2 reading intervention or something. But most of the students that we've seen it in my position in 9 years, we've never had a teacher say, oh gosh, I should not.
Okay, got it. Okay.
It's been,
So that process works.
yes.
Okay,
I
got
mean,
it.
the test is very difficult. I think a lot of English only kids would have trouble passing that test.
Yeah.
And then the other metrics, if there any questions about the metrics on that slide? And the other thing that we wanted to point out was that the more enrollment is kind of tapped onto students being academically prepared. As you know, the more program is going to be expanded learning grants. And we just started that program in 2 years, and it's grown significantly since the start. And the thing that we're really happy about is not only are we doing enrichment like soccer and basketball, but we're able to use those funds to have our children get extra support for after school reading and mathematics and language. Excuse me. So that is tied into their academic success. And you can see here that at this point in the year, we've had about 36% of our students enrolled in some type of more program, but we anticipate that that will be over 50%, similar to last year or higher, because we're only halfway through the year. And then our summer is a huge draw for additional academic support.
So the actions that we are taking, you have to say they're working. You know, we have to look at them distinctly, but we're proud of these increases. And I think I can point to a couple specifically, having Jan Richardson last year and then advancing literacy this year, really focusing in on improving our literacy instruction. I think we're starting to see those gains. So I think that is one thing for sure. As well, our Stanford CSET presentation on mathematics for our middle school. I think we're going to start to see the same impact there. We're seeing the practices being implemented, and so I think that we will see the increase. Now the math scores didn't come out yet, so we don't know, but I'm fingers crossed that they will show something similar. I think the other thing I'm very excited about, Tracy and I have been leading 2 collaboratives, the Math Collaborative and the Inclusion Collaborative. Last year, the county office led the Inclusion Collaborative, and our feedback was that it was a good start, but it was kind of disconnected from our work. And so we are really excited because we have begun to really focus on behavior and MTSS in particular, and how can we really streamline MTSS for Moreland. And we're really excited about where we're headed and having a really group of strong educators working together to plan and implement. So it isn't just leaders making decisions, it's a collaborative group. And similar with math, a very powerful group of math teachers from K to 8, and they are making decisions about the new framework and how we will start to lead math implementation in PD next year. So all of these groups are going to be a part of our PD next year. And so that's really exciting because it brings that Moreland tight-knit family together and also as leaders, so that we're leading this work. So that's very exciting. And then, yes?
I was just going to add something.
Okay, go ahead.
Because as educators, we like to use terms like MTSS, which don't mean that much to people that aren't in schools and in classrooms. So just because Jen's so excited about it, we're so excited about it. Basically, what we're saying is you've got a tier 1, all universal, will have strategies to support behavior, social emotional learning, well-being of our students that are in all of our schools, we're all doing. And then we want to have a really tight kind of tier 2 for kids that need more support, small groups, getting really clear on who provides those services, what does it look like, who would qualify for that. And then your tier 3, which is your kind of like your top 5% of students that just need a ton more. What do their behavior supports look like? So that's called our multi-tiered systems of support. And so you're talking about what are we all doing? What do some kids get? And then what do a few kids get? And that's what they've been working on in the collaborative in terms of, supporting our educators with some of the big behaviors that we're seeing in schools.
Yeah, so we're very excited about that work. And I think then lastly, really, Dr. Codd's work with our leadership team around the opportunity myth and framework, and how do we increase engagement, high expectations, rigorous instruction for our students. I think that we're going to continue to see that making a difference across our schools, but already having an impact on our leadership team. So now it's Chris.
I got the easy part. We're spending the money. So this is a snapshot of where we are. And you see on the top, this remaining budget is about 57% of what we have allocated, and about 43. As you know, it's not going to always be a straight 50 throughout the year. Action 1, there's no budget cost because that's shown realized in action 8. Some other ones to point out, like we look at the professional development, it looks like we've only spent 7%. These expenditures are through December 31st. We've done PD, there was a big payment in January, that's just not reflected on here. So it's just where we pay it. We're on track.
So goal number 2 is students are actively engaged and are globally aware. We use our perception survey to measure this, as well as Common Sense Media, which is a program that we try to educate our students about how to navigate, the cyber world, whether it be social media, but also just scholarly practices around using the internet and being safe online. So those are our measures. And next slide, our action.
So this is highlighting some of the things that are happening in our schools. And so this is just a snapshot of some of the things happening at some of our schools, certainly not a lot. I mean, there's a lot more that aren't on this slide. A couple pretty cool things that Country Lane is doing. They're doing this thing called Project Awareness, where the counselor is leading this group of kiddos and they are making blankets, homemade blankets, and then they're distributing into shelters, into hospitals. And then they're doing scouting. The Eagle Scouts are like coming back to the community and working with the kids to on the garden. And Clover just mentioned the marketplace. They're also doing House for Peace, where students are learning conflict resolution. So it's not just the outer community, but it's their school community that they're willing to be kind of active and making a difference with their peers. The Gift of Time project is something that they're doing where the second and third graders get together and they decide what they want to do. So kind of empowering them to make a decision on what they want to do, which is pretty cool. And then on the next slide, Latimer has been doing a sample drive for the past 2 years now, and all the donations are going to the Second Harvest Food Bank. And then MMS this year started a new thing called Pride Ceremonies. You might have heard about those, where they highlight students. Students are chosen by the teachers that just kind of embellish like the world for like being confident, being caring, being an integral part of the student's student. So that's really something that they're going to continue throughout the year. And then Payne, they wrote letters to the Olympics. So just really that this goal is so important because academics are what we're here for, the world we're here for them to be able to. So let's see what
All right, again, spending some money. The engaging environments, that one's kind of reflected in our goal 1, action 8, it's kind of the expectation. Online safety and responsibility is not really a line item as far as money. It's happening in the classroom, just safety around online activities. And then just the other one, so we're a little behind on this one as far as remaining budget, but we'll continue to look at ways for student leadership and continue on.
All right, goal number 3. Students have a strong sense of belonging and social emotional well-being. In these metrics, we're excited to see a decrease in our chronic absenteeism. That's very encouraging because we kind of saw that increase after COVID and it not going down. And so this is kind of our first significant decrease. And it's just mid-year, so maybe we'll even improve as the year progresses. So we are right on target with our suspension, expulsion, and dropout rate. It, just to clarify, expulsion rate is any student that is actually fully expelled,
Mhm.
just to be clear about that.
And through the perception survey, which the kids will take at the end of the year, we're hoping to get our students to continue to feel like part of the community. And I think a lot of the work that we're doing with our SEL, community building, I think. That. Like a baby person, or more of safe. That they belong.
The actions here, I think Dr. Todd actually already mentioned or alluded to this. We're refining our approach to behavior and social emotional support. This year, we have hired behavior aides to support our schools. Next year, right now, we're planning, but we anticipate next year to be able to have our own behavior program to replace some of the contracts that we currently have. And also it allows us to manage them the way that we would like to have them manage and help the kids. We need to have help and not have restrictions on those things. So we're really excited about the prospects of that and really being able to help our sites. And we've been doing the research and looking at other districts and how do they function in this way. And so we're working on that program. And just to highlight again, Dr. Codd's vision for knowing your student, she brought forth in the beginning of the year, has lent itself to powerful opportunities for shadowing, for focus groups, interviewing students, and we're watching our leaders do that across the district and really excited about what we're learning. And this Thursday, actually, we're having everyone share kind of a problem of practice that they're looking at and that is impacting us and why that may be keeping us from having high expectations for kids or being rigorous. So it's an excellent conversation. I think a lot of minds are turning and we're creating that vision and the movement to move forward. So
It's also stressed people out, but we'll downplay that.
The quick question, the social emotional learning curriculum, is that replacing the step?
Second step.
Second step?
So that's kind of the intention, but we're kind of weighing it out.
Okay.
Some people do still like second step. And so we have a pilot group. And so they're evaluating, but they also like the new curriculums that they're looking at. And I think one of the reasons that they like it is they're more appropriate, age appropriate types of lessons and things that will engage kids more. And so that's the purpose of piloting, so we can kind of test drive it to see if it's worth the investment. But there's people like Melissa May, a counselor, that are on this, that have a lot of experience with second step. So they can make that comparison. So I do think it's important to consider before we just leap into something. Is it worthwhile? Because the products we have actually are pretty good.
And we're keeping Kimochis for the younger students.
Yes. You read the Friday report.
So I think, again, spending money. I think on this one, it's important to note the amount that we invest in this student safety all around. Action 4 is investment in our counselors at all our school sites. Action 7, even though it's not an LTFF funded, it is the security modernization. So it's the fencing. It's allowing, our staff and our students to feel safe on campus. And then our behavior support as well. So, we do take it serious and just the safety of all the staff and students. And so we're going to continue to focus.
The fourth goal is to make sure that we partner with the families and community, foster connection, communication, and equitable access. And the first metric, the attendance at the LAC meeting. So just kind of some background for that. We hope to get attendance at our TLAC. TLAC is our. And so, in years past, oftentimes we wouldn't get many people, but we really want to get our administrators and our staff, but also our parents. And so getting that attendance is much higher in the last 2 years since we did that, tied it with our adult classes. That's just And then we have the perception survey, which we'll have at the end of the year, but we also do specific surveys in our English classes. We ask them if they have their child is supported, or if they feel like they're, if they understand what's happening in schools, things like that. If they feel part of the IEP.
So our action implementation for goal 4, parent education has been robust this year and well attended. Our ELOP enrichment has increased. I think that was also in a Friday report recently. And our adult English classes have expanded. So we're excited about the involvement and increased engagement of our community and our parents. I think one of the ones that if you've driven around ours recently, you probably have seen the security fences on our campuses, and sometimes I have to figure out, I was at Payne the other afternoon and I was trying to figure out how do I get in here? Move around to get through the gates, and especially as they start to be painted, they're very nice looking, but also it really is so much more secure. And that security, I think our community appreciates for our schools, and our school community appreciates as well.
So for action, for goal 4, our biggest expenditure you can see are the community liaisons. They're a huge factor in just bridging that communication between families and schools that might have that language barrier. So we're going to continue to invest in them and make sure we continue that communication with all them.
My final goal is Moreland Fox develops and retains a diverse workforce that represents our student community. We have, if you look at the indicators from the perception survey, even though we haven't, we won't get the results from this year, but just our last year's baseline is outstanding. And when you compare it to the norm, it supersedes, it far exceeds it, excuse me. That basic indicator for the panorama survey. The thing I would like to also point out is that staff do feel a sense of belonging, and that's really high, 96%. And when we talk about the Moreland family, or we talk about Moreland being tight knit, I think that it is a huge indicator of that. Is still alive and well in Moreland. And then I think the teacher retention I noticed was also in the Friday report, but right now, of course, it's a little higher, but yeah, our goal is to remain above 90%.
Quick question on the second one. How do we measure that? The appropriately assigned, highly qualified teachers?
Good. Next year I'm gonna make Tasha be part of this presentation, but
Their credential.
yeah, it has to do with their credential
Okay,
greatly for
Okay.
whatever it is that they're
so
teaching.
the right, they're assigned.
The right
right.
credential and the right
Okay,
assignment.
so on.
Yeah, and so one of the things at the beginning of the year, you often approve some people that are outside their credential areas, but
Right.
have expertise. So that ensures that we have this high number
Thank you.
for the actions. With our great new HR team, we're exploring ways to stay competitive while maintaining our fiscal solvency. Sandwiched in between both of them here. We have held recruitment fairs and are continuing to look for ways to recruit and retain our staff.
How do we feel about our substitute pool? I know that was a source of concern in previous years.
So we had a substitute recruiting fair the other day. We had a good turnout and a lot more classified people than credentialed. With the new law, that background checking for every credentialed person, it's gonna take a little longer to onboard any credentialed substitutes or credentialed staff.
Okay.
But we are holding fairs and kind of reaching out. I did a bus Instagram post today that then I shared with Maureen, and then she used my language. And so we're trying to also find ways to like put things out on social media. So I'll do like a little Instagram post, like share it with Maureen, and we collaborate and put it out there. And we'll do one for subs. That's kind of where we're at.
But we've been filling.
We've been filling our positions, and
Yeah.
we've been using our own subs and then also the
Yeah.
company.
And so, a lot of this is recruitment gonna start happening kind of, in the domain, that's where a lot of the money will be spent on staff recognition. So, we're well on track.
Our next steps are to revise our goals and gather feedback from our constituents and continue to collect data, research. Right now, I think Dr. Cotter and I are especially interested in really looking into this literacy screener. We're going to be making a decision on that. We have a group coming together at the end of the month of K2 teachers. And we're going to look at the options, but really evaluating our literacy program and where are the areas some extra support and where's our intervention program. So those are some of the things that we're really going to be seriously looking at moving forward. So we're going to be looking at the research as well as looking at the data and our constituents' feedback to make revisions, and then we'll bring that back to you with any changes and to keep you kind of on top of the plans moving forward.
That's good. Other,
I have one ask, which is the math data that's not here. I assume it's coming shortly. If we could, wait till a Friday report request, I guess, but I would love just if people feel that's acceptable to.
I meant to say that, I actually wrote that down. So thank you.
I'd love to see if we're trending, because we've struggled. Love to know that mid-year check-in, are we trending similar?
Yeah, I from my POV, I think I really like the mid-year check-in because I think it allows us to see two things. One is how are we doing? Are what we're doing, is it actually being effective? And two, are the results the result of actual action versus something else that we cannot explain or something? It's always good to know whichever way the data trends. It's good to know that, hey, I turned this switch on and that light bulb went on. It's always good to know that. And I think knowing that in February gives everybody who's on the front lines a little bit of runway to adjust. Like you have March, April, May to kind of do that. So I'm really thankful for the work that went into getting this view for us. Appreciate that.
absolutely.
I
A lot
just
of
have-
really good work.
Yes, I have just another question. I know students there's always a little bit of regression from like between the end of the school year, summer, and coming back. Is that, and just looking at the FMP data again, is this, I don't know, like normal, I would say, like seeing that it took, starting from the baseline, we ended at, let's again, like at a 24%. And then it took us like a whole kind of semester-ish to get back to where we were when we ended. Is that, or am I reading this
You're
wrong?
you're reading it incorrectly.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes, it's not the same group of students.
Yeah.
So last year,
Got it.
students ended, this was how many students were on grade
On grade
level.
level.
At this point, right now, different group of students, this is where they are towards grade level. So we're already
Close to the.
close, we're,
Okay.
To that baseline.
yeah, we're on,
Got it.
yes.
Got it. Thank you. I was like, this isn't.
That
It's actually really good data.
Yeah, yeah,
We're really
okay,
excited about this.
No,
It's the
I'm-
first one we've seen growth.
I will say it does set the expectation that state testing mirrors.
This.
100%.
Is that works?
And that's iReady's claim. We do see a lot of, we do
I want to be clear, it's a double-edged sword. You get a mid-year update. It says, hey, things are going,
Good.
looking great. And then you kind of get our version of a report card later and we're like, oh, that is not similar. And so, I'm excited. It's hopeful, and it does set an expectation that hopefully that translates into what we see. here.
unlike, I was gonna say, the Lakers, we're gonna finish the game and win.
This is just a.
The last few games.
No, you have to take action on the action.
We do.
Here.
Okay. Yes, so we are requesting that you approve the mid-year LCAP report.
I'll submit a motion to approve the mid-year LCAT update.
I'll second.
Did you have something to add?
I was just curious, like, what are we approving? The fact that it was presented or?
No,
the-
there's, if you look.
Submitted.
Oh, that we have to submit it. Okay, got it. Yes. Thank
All
you.
in favor, say aye.
I just wanted to make sure what I'm high too.
You'll need to execute the remaining half of the. That's right.
Thank you.
All right, we have a couple of resolutions. 5-2024-2025 reduction in force of certificated staff.
Yes, so when we are planning for next year, we look at enrollment and program needs. And based upon those needs, we're predicting that we'll have to have a reduction in staff members. It might be a percentage of a staff member that needs to be changed, that those might total up to like 1 FTE, or in some cases, it might be 1 FTE if a program is changing. So we're just asking that you approve.
These could be split across multiple sites, right? Or
Yeah, so one is a definite program change, how we're changing the preschool program based on enrollment.
got it.
And looking at that model and what it's gonna look like. Some of the intervention teachers might be reducing like couple hours or reducing from 180-day schedule to 120-day schedule.
Got it.
Based on looking at that data and powering through and like where is the best time and what's working, and let's capitalize on that so we're not, and then we're still being able to offer that intervention. So it might be a percentage or a percentage equal to one person.
Yeah. Understood. Thank you.
We ask that you approve the layoff list. It's a proposed layoff list, so it's might not equal this at the end when we finalize budgets, but it's just to notice these people in finals will be later. Some of it might be rescinded or not even given.
It gives us capacity.
It's just capacity.
Yeah.
We have to up it a little bit just in case.
I'm hoping with that brilliant video, we wouldn't have that problem.
Preschool, we did predict because it's very nice, right? You have TK for free by a credentialed teacher, get your child used to the school. That age swing, so you could be 3 when you enter preschool now, right at the beginning, TK, right at the beginning chunk, you could be 3 and turning 4 in September. So, you know, as a parent, preschool is expensive. It's definitely a great investment, but not everybody can afford it. And it does pull 1 whole year from preschool and shift it to TK. So this has been a reduction we've kind of been keeping our eye on and predicting, especially now that TK is full swing. So it was coming.
Any other questions, comments, a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 reduction in force of certificated staff.
On a second,
I'll second it.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On to resolution 6.
Very similar, it's just classified this time. Again, the same situation, is it the, it will be probably percentages, or for example, we have some instructional aides who maybe have done bus duty, and then next year they might not need to do bus duty, so they may have to lay off that half an hour. So some of these are laying off like a half hour of a person, or like an hour a person, a part of a person, and some would be total reductions, like we might have a one-on-one with an 8th grade, and so that child graduates on, and we don't need that one-on-one instructional aid. So that's what this is looking at. Again, it might not come down to this many equaling up as we continue to review. Classified, they do bump, so we reduce positions, but then they bump. So we're predicting some of that as well.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Also been a motion to approve.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Obviously not easy action to take. Consent. Any questions or comments on tonight's consent? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve in the aggregate?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items in aggregate.
And I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On to closing items. Future meeting dates.
As mentioned earlier, we will not be able to attend March 11 in person.
And you're still tentative on,
Tentative for remote attendance.
okay. Anything else on future?
Yes, so I put in the Friday report that we want to do a board work study session when the district facilities committee we think that the next meeting will be the last one and we'll be ready for a work study session. So I was looking at the dates of either April 8th or April 22nd. And so I don't know if one of those dates is better than the other. If you know, absolutely, you won't be here for one of those dates. It would be nice because we'll just pick the opposite date.
April 8th is there's
Is there a
spring
board?
break.
There is no board meeting.
Is that our spring break?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, never mind, because it's on my calendar as a board meeting. I don't know when spring break is.
So April 22nd.
Hold on a second.
That's you.
I'll be here at the board meeting by myself. No,
Second and fourth Tuesday, reliably.
all right,
I need sick.
I cannot, I'm out of the country on the 22nd.
okay. We could move it to May. I mean, it's, right, there's,
Yeah.
we could move it to May. There's two board meetings in May, I'm being told.
It's just in.
There's no break. And so one's on the 13th of May and one's on the, is it the 27th?
Yeah.
Any conflicts with the May dates that we're aware of at this point?
Okay,
But just to complete that thought, I'm out of the country for the board meeting, which is that April board meeting. The 22nd.
May board meetings tend to be very long. So just as a reminder, we would start at, right, we've got all of our employee celebrations and there's a lot of, so I would plan on being late nights in May.
Yep.
Everyone.
Everyone's been warned.
We're gonna be in the Philippines with.
Announcements, reminders, requests?
No, I just want to make sure this is the time to check in on that math score.
Yeah.
For like, assuming, saw head nods, would see
Yes.
that Friday report. when you
I
have it.
think they finished this week.
It's February 27th.
Okay, not to the end of the month then. Okay.
Anything else? No? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
For me.